Say hello to the new YotaMD project, a Cypress Pearl LX 470 from 2006 with 217,000 miles. She needs a little love, but we're going to build this up into an affordable and reliable luxury off-roader. Stay tuned and watch the transformation unfold. New to me, 2006 LX 470. Do a little walkthrough of the undercarriage, and then we'll move around throughout the rest of the car. But we'll start with the undercarriage. Real clean, no terrible rust. So right off the bat, oil leak. There were records that indicate the power steering pump and or valve cover gasket was leaking right above the alternator. So I think that's what that's from, but we'll know once we get that off. Shocks, no leaking, looks good. Ball joints, look pretty happy. CV boots are relatively fresh. There are records for that. They were rebooted and repacked by Lexus. They look good on both sides. Got the flash on now. You can see it makes it look a little more rust tinted, but it's really not that bad. Moving back, and we're going to take these covers off in a few minutes, but right now I just want to do a walkthrough. Looks pretty good on this side. Everything nice and clean there. But then, we get over here. Look at that. Nice pink surprise. So it looks like it's leaking from above. It's hard to tell. It looks like it's leaking from above the head. So I'm hoping that's not the head gasket, because that would be a pain. I did not buy another 100 to do a head gasket. That's not really the point of these vehicles for me. But we'll have to see what that's all about. It does not look good from here. Maybe somebody with some more experience in that area knows what that might be. Obviously there's something leaking and then it's trickling down. Again, I'm hoping it's not leaking from that seam, because that's the head block seam there. But if it is, hey, we can do a head gasket job. Not impossible, just annoying on a vehicle that I didn't get to be a big project. Looking at the rest, you can see more coolant residue there. But we can see the motor mounts. And I can feel a bit of vibration in the engine, so I think the motor mounts may be due. I'll probably do those just for good measure. One thing I did notice back here, we've got a bunch of oily residue on that sensor in the back of the T-case. I don't know exactly what that sensor is. I'm not familiar with what each of these sensors does. I'm guessing this is speedometer, maybe. And that's maybe high-low sensor. I don't know. There's another one there. Who knows? So I'll have to look at that, look at the parts diagram, see what's what. I'll probably flash the answer on the screen right now. So looking at everything else, we've got the AHC accumulators hanging out over here. And actually, I don't know if they're yeah. So you can see them there. There's one there. And another there. The accumulators on this were replaced relatively recently, which is something the previous owner did not mention, but he probably should have. It probably would have made me willing to pay a bit more. Of course, there was the nasty coolant leak that was not mentioned. So, win some, lose some. Muffler, rusted through. That'll probably need replacement relatively soon. I might just go with OEM. Not a whole lot else. Bushings, all the bushings are cracked. They'll all need replacement. So I'll just start working through those and hopefully get to every last one by the end of spring. You can see just, yeah, cracks throughout. Hard to tell when those are really dead, but I think those all need to be replaced. Sway bar bushings and links look okay. And let's see, go to the very back. I haven't gone back this far yet, but the trailer connector came undone, just the plastic clip. So that's a little sad looking. We can fix that. But altogether, this is less rusty than my 99. So we're moving in the right direction. But of course, a blown head gasket would send us right back the opposite way. So there's a quick overview of the undercarriage of this 2006, 216,000 miles, something like that. Overall in really good shape. Again, it was low on coolant. I noticed it was low on coolant when I inspected it. And I just figured, we'll take a chance. These never have blown head gaskets. Well, hopefully that's not what we're seeing there. Well, I don't know a whole lot more than I did. So I took the covers off, and we've obviously got an oil leak. Looks like oil leak at the pan, the drain plug. That's not a big deal. There's obviously an oil leak further forward, and it's kind of dripping all down the front side of the pan here, down the diff, and it's starting somewhere above the alternator. And I can see a little bit of weeping at the valve cover gasket area right there. So I think valve cover gaskets are a good idea there. And to do that, I think I'm going to have to take apart most of that backside. And then maybe I'll figure out what's going on back there. So I think that's the plan. The crank pulley looks a little more corroded than normal. That's weird. What else? What else am I seeing? I think that's about it for now. I mean, there's a cooler line there that's loose. It's not anchored down like it should be, but again, not a huge deal. Yeah, everything else looks okay. It's just these darn leaks, which is not real common on these motors, at least in my experience, so strange. The dealer also said that the the power steering pump was leaking, and I can't easily get light on that from here. There's definitely oil there. I don't know if it's coming from the valve cover gasket though, so we'll have to dig in there. Yeah, just a lot of unknowns. It's really hard to tell what's going on up there. So I'm hoping one of you is going to see this and go, aha, I know what that is. So hopefully that's the case. If not, I'll just have to go digging. It looks like if I get that black plastic piece there, I don't know if that's holding a wiring harness. That looks like a wiring harness cover. The leak point may be just right underneath that, right behind that sensor right there. So it's just really hard to tell. Hard to tell where it starts. But it's certainly dripping down everywhere. It's dripping down through the bell housing here. Looks like it's coming through the inspection port, so I'm going to open that and see what that looks like in there. Hopefully that's not damaging torque converter or anything like that. I don't know what damage that would do. There you go. So there's the undercarriage of the 06 Cypress green LX470 that I got. And we'll see what we learn as we dive in deeper. Sure enough, coolant down on the flex plate there. And we're looking in the inspection chamber, inspection area. That's the front of the car. So, yeah, interesting. So we know the leak is coming down through there. One other noteworthy thing before I pull this down. On each wheel, there's an odd lug nut. So I'm thinking there were locking lugs on this and they lost the key and had to replace them. But there's also a sheared off wheel stud. So that's no good. Gonna have to replace that. That's one that I noticed quickly when I got it home. I didn't notice it during inspection. Somehow I overlooked that. Not a huge deal, but just another thing that's kind of a pain. Before I go around removing covers and cleaning, we'll do a before shot. So here's the before shot. I've already wiped down some things, the battery, just some of the flat surfaces, but overall this is relatively how I got it. Notice we've got some coolant residue there. There's a leak somewhere. All in all, pretty dusty, pretty dirty. There's 12 volt wiring for the battery, for the backup battery, the secondary battery that's in the trunk. Kind of a rat's nest of wiring, so I'm going to try and clean that up, just remove it probably for now. Unless that stuff's done really clean, I just don't really trust it, so we'll take that apart and give that a thorough once over. Right now I'm going to take off this main cover, see what's underneath there, see if we can see that coolant leak. There's a lot of coolant leaking back in this area, and I'm just hoping that I can see something back here. So it's hard to see where the leak is, but it's right just beyond where the camera can see there. But I think we can get some views if we take some covers off. So let's do that. I think we have good news. I think. It's hard to tell. There is a coolant union right there, and there's a metal gasket with an O-ring sort of inset in that metal plate. Found somebody online with a good video of it. I think that's what's leaking. There's fresh fluid right on that edge, right on the edge. So that is really good news if that's it. That's about 1,000 times better than a blown head gasket. So I think that's our problem. Unfortunately, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to determine that for sure. But I'm going to drop the camera down and see if it can see what's going on. Yeah, that is it. Look at that shot. That is it. Okay, so that wasn't so bad. I'm going to zoom in again so you can see where you might look for this. Back here, and then here's where I can't see with my eye, but now I can see. So the camera's just kind of shooting around the corner. There it is. Sweet. So that is a relatively easy fix. Yeah, it's a lot of labor. That's kind of a pain. But I can take the opportunity to do at least starter contacts, maybe even the entire starter. That's probably a bit overkill. But we'll do at least a rebuild of the starter. And just inspect everything else in there, I guess. I don't know what else I can take that time to do. But that's obviously a big job to take that plenum off and the manifold and all that work. So fun. Something that I saw in the notes from Lexus, they had the dealer install Clear Bra on the headlights. And then they buffed them because they were yellowing or something. So they don't look good now, but I think if I peel that off, those headlights might look half decent. But otherwise, the lenses do look pretty poor, so I'm skipping right to the back here, just because that's where my curiosity has taken me. So we've got a solar panel on the roof, which, cool idea in concept. Not sure I like that it's sort of glued onto the roof, but it is. Car's off. 13.3 volts coming from our little battery down here. There's a C-Tech charger hidden in the spare jack area. And we've got a battery. Blue C battery. And then just a bunch of wiring, which I don't love. The battery is strapped down, so it seems. Let me get some light here. Alright, so the battery is strapped down, I think. Yeah, battery is strapped down. Ish. but obviously it's not super clean. And since I didn't do that, I don't really trust it in my garage, in my house. So we're going to undo that. Try and figure out the smartest way to do that. Thankfully there's some good wiring, quick connects here. I think I can just undo. There's some screw connections for the solar panel. There's negative. I'm guessing if I follow this thing around, eventually it turns into positive. So, yeah, I do not love this. Do not love this. Good idea in theory. I'm just not real comfortable with how it's done. So, we're going to take this off. I'm going to turn the car around so it's facing that way so I have plenty of space. And then we'll dive in again. Okay, so we still have a mess here, but it's better than it was. At least I feel more comfortable with it. The battery's out, disconnected fully. And we've got the charger still remaining with the cables there. The solar panel is disconnected, and now we've got all this crap to deal with. The residue from the duct tape. Literally just duct taped to the car. I don't get it. I think he wanted to go camping with the battery tomorrow. And he made it happen. And it was fused and everything, so I don't know that it was unsafe. It was just really messy. Oh my gosh. It gives me anxiety just looking at it. But it's disconnected now, and I think we're fine, and I feel better. And then I'll remove that probably next session. And then we will maybe remove the drawers, maybe do some testing with them first. Okay, good look at the cargo area of this LX470. There's a KISS drawer system. This will be coming out and getting swapped for an air down, gear up SS1 system. But I'll keep this here until I can do some comparisons with that. There you can see the charger. There was a battery there that's been removed. But you can just sort of see the mess that's back here. So we're going to clean this up a little bit, but what I'm really going to do is fix that noise that you just heard right there. It's terrible. Sounds awful. And here's why. That is disconnected. And there are some clips and fasteners that are supposed to hold that on that are obviously not doing that right now. So we are going to disassemble this cover, get access to the backside, and see what is going on. Okay, that trim piece is off, and unfortunately I see what the problem is. We've got some tabs in place, and then not so in place. So those are broken. The plastic is just flat out broken and missing there. Not much I can do to salvage that. And then over here, broken pretty severely. So, I can try and print something for that. And maybe I can make that work pretty well. And probably a similar deal here. But it's going to be a bit of a long shot. I'll need to do maybe some epoxy to try and keep that in place, but we'll give that a shot. So here's the fastener there. So that's why that was rattling and loose. And because that clip was missing, this little fixture here was not able to grab on. This one was just barely. So I think if I fix these other tabs, these will be in a better place. But I'm going to go ahead and try and buy those and some fresh clips like this, and then maybe I can design and print something to go there. A couple other items that we'll need to address. There's a cracked taillight right there. So we'll replace that. The lens apparently is not that expensive. Less than a couple $100, which I would not have guessed for that thing. But that's what I think is the case. We'll see if I'm right. This lens looks a little hazed, so it looks like maybe some moisture's getting in there, so we might need a new gasket for that. Other lenses are okay. Lens up top here, that's cracked, so we'll probably want to get a new one there. Coming around, and there was, the cracked window there, or the cracked trim, Crack there, crack there. On the other side, there are 2 cracks as well. And then up front, we've got really hazed over headlights, but there's film on there. Somebody did a clear bra. So we're going to try and carefully remove that clear bra, see if what's underneath is salvageable. Otherwise, we're going to have to polish lenses and correct that. But I think that's about it as far as aesthetics or cosmetics in the exterior. Overall looking really good. A few dents, a few dings, but not too bad. Certainly good for a car with 216,000 miles. All right, I think that covers it. It's an 06 LX 470 with a little over 200,000 miles. The build, we're calling it the YotaMD Cypress build. We've got a lot of content coming up. We're going to cover a coolant leak fix, differential bushing replacement, AHC tuning. We're adding some King Springs, armor installation. We're doing sliders, skid plates, front and rear bumpers from Dissent. We've got a recovered steering wheel going on, some new leather there, that's really nice. Brake master cylinder replacement, steering rack bushings, CVs, CV flanges, the list goes on and on and on. Stay tuned. See you soon.